welcome Miss Richner, our presider for the morning for our Black History celebration. Give her a nice round of applause.
Good morning, boys and girls, as well as our visitors. Thank you guys for joining us today in our Black History celebration. We have a few students who will be acknowledging some Black achievements. First up, we have Victoria Gonzalez.
It was clear to everyone that Marian Anderson had a gift. Italian conductor Arturo Toscanini told her that a voice like yours is heard only once in 100 years. Marian Anderson was born February 27, 1897, in Philadelphia. She began singing in her church choir at a young age, and her church congregation raised money so she could take regular singing lessons. On August 26, 1925, Anderson had her first normal performance at the New York Philharmonic. She went on to tour Europe during the 1930s. She became the first African American to perform with the New York Metropolitan Opera in 1955. Anderson received many honors, including being named delegate to the United Nations and earning the Nobel Prize and a Grammy Award for Lifetime Achievement. She retired from singing in 1965 and died on April 8, 1993 at the age of 96.
Thank you, Victoria, for introducing us to Miss Anderson. Next up, we have Leonia Pierre.
Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Today I'll be reading about George Washington Carver. George Washington Carver was an African-American man who was born a slave in Missouri in 1864. While Mr. Carver was growing up, he earned his master's degree at Iowa State College, making history by being the first African-American to attend Iowa State. After he got his master's degree, Booker T. Washington, another important African-American, hired Mr. Carver to run his department at Tuskegee Institute, where he discovers 300 different uses for peanuts and 100 uses for sweet potato, which made him one of the most important African-Americans of his times. Unfortunately, Mr. Carver died in 1943 on January 5th. But next time, when you ask yourself, who was George Washington Carver, you would think of him as a leader to all. That's all, Coach. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Leonia. By the way, Gators, you guys are supposed to write down a few notes or something that stands out to you. There will be things given out for those who have paid attention during the presentation. Last but not least, we have Carmissa Celine.
Good morning, Coach. Today I'll be talking about Wilma Rudolph. Wilma Rudolph was born June 23, 1940. She was the 20th in a family of 22 children. As a child, she had polio. Doctors told her she would never be able to walk, so this meant she had to do exercise and go to a special hospital and also walk with metal braces. By the age of 12, she could walk again. During high school, she became a basketball star and was discovered by a coach from Tennessee who offered her a scholarship. At age 16, she won bronze medal at the 1956 Olympics. 4 years later, she became the first American woman to win 3 Olympic gold medals. She later wrote her autobiography, which was turned into TV movies, and worked as a teacher and track coach. Wilma Rudolph died November 12, 1994. Thank you.
Thank you, Carmissa. Next up, we will have Miss Martin.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This morning we're going to have Miss Estrella to come out and to hand out some gifts. Let's see who had on their listening ears as we had some readings about some African Americans.
Get ready, get ready. Woo-hoo!
Where did Marian Anderson first begin singing? At church. Yes, yes, yes. Woo! Miss Rivera, please hand her a gift. I got another question for you. Another question. Here we go. Question 2. Name an award she received for her performance. Ah.
Got a lot of hands now.
Eddie.
It was a Grammy. A Grammy Award. A Grammy Award.
Yes, 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 Eddie! I have another question. Another lucky person. She was the first African American to perform where? Oh, wait a minute, I got hands. Stanley. Whoa. Good try, Stanley. Good try. I'm going to come back over here to Samuel. Yes. Say that again.
Was it the Philharmonic?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Everybody, let's give a warm hand applause for those who answered correctly. Yes, yes, yes.
Next up, we have our one and only Mr. Barnes coming up.
Good morning, class. Good morning, Colts. I'm going to do a brief introduction of myself for those who may not know me. Many of you have already had me before as your teacher in class, but my name is Andre Barnes. I'm originally from Fort Pierce. I went to school here at C.A. Moore and Means Court. I also went to St. Lucie Middle School and graduated from Fort Pierce Central. I moved around a lot because my dad was in the military. He was first in the Air Force, and then he moved to the Army. So I have visited and lived in Germany, Mexico, and Canada, and visited at least 20 of the states. So when I graduated from Fort Pierce, I moved to Tallahassee, went to FAMU, FSU, TCC, got married. I have 3 kids. All of them are adults now. The oldest one, as a matter of fact, if you'll grab that picture of the guy standing in the tree, the little boy standing in the tree, yeah. That is my son at the age of 3. His name is Cameron. And he was living in Los Angeles up until about 3 months ago. He's moved to Atlanta to try to work with Tyler Perry. He's interested in being a movie star and that kind of stuff. So, yeah. But my daughter, she just recently graduated from law school, so she's working on taking the bar exam at this time. And my youngest son is in grad school at FSU for engineering. So they're kind of smart. Yeah. And I wanted to share a little bit of my philosophy of education. There are many routes to achieving student success, and I count it a privilege to use the visual arts to educate young minds. Every child has the right to an educator willing to bring out that student's best. I have accepted that responsibility. In teaching the visual arts, I nurture and introduce students to their undiscovered forms of expression. It's pretty easy to see that some of you like to express yourself. You don't always express it using words. So sometimes drawing a picture or sometimes creating a look, like many of you know how to put colors together and make your outfits look good. That's also a part of art, in creating a pattern that actually looks like it works well together. Art is an essential component to education. Students need to know that there exists a form of communication that enables them just to be expressive and communicative. as when they are listening and speaking. Art gives students confidence in learning to learn and helps them understand that there is no limit to education. Once again, it's my honor to contribute to your education here at SGA. Now, if you'll take a look around the room, I'll give you some clues at who I'm talking about. I just need hands pointing. If you were to guess at, there's a picture of my mother and father, where would you think that would be? Point to it. Yeah, that would be my mother and father, Charles Barnes and Thelma Barnes. Once again, my father was in the military. My mother was a teacher here at Dan McCarty for about 20 years before she moved to Forest Grove. So they're part of the background for me becoming an educator. I used to think I would never be a teacher because, kids are bad, but not all kids are bad. I was not allowed to be bad, so all kids are not bad. But if you were to guess at, and my grandmother was a teacher as well, so I'm a third generation teacher, and if you were to guess that there's a picture of me somewhere around here. It may not look like me. Okay. This is a picture that does not look like me. Let me give you a better. No, it's not the football player. Okay, I'll give you the clue. We'll bring it back down. I'll give you the clue. That picture of the baby is me. In the corner over there. So, many times, yes, go hold it up. This tape, it's good. So, many times, we start out cute, but then we grow up and look like what we look like. So, I'm okay with what I look like. So, now, we also have a picture of Kobe Bryant. I'm pretty saddened by his death. Also at this time, I'm working on a picture of him and his daughter. And let me see, I can go ahead and move quickly. Very light picture, if you walk that one around. So. This is the picture I'm drawing it from. So when I eventually finish it, probably by sometime next Thursday, then I'll make sure I show it off to the rest of the school. But I wanted to talk about the fact that I do art, and that was kind of my form of expression as a child that traveled so much. You always are the new kid at the school, so it was pretty easy for me to not talk to people, at least at the very beginning, but I could start drawing and people would say, oh, wow, you're pretty good at that. And so I would gain some sort of interest and gain some sort of recognition just based on the fact that, wow, he draws very well. And some of you out there draw very well too. I'm very pleased to be your teachers, be one of your teachers, and know that hopefully you'll come to me whether you have my class or not. I am trying to speak with the principal, see if we can get an art club here so that I can get some talented individuals here. Being an artist, I've run into many famous people. I've run into Muhammad Ali, the portrait back there of Muhammad Ali. I actually got a chance to meet him, shake his hand. It's kind of funny when you meet somebody in real life, you get a chance to see what they're actually like. I got a chance to greet him at FAMU and shake his hand. And at the time, he is a character. He's playful, or at least was playful. So I was reaching out to shake his hand. He grabbed my hand and swung at me like he was going to punch me. Well, many of you don't know this, and so you probably need to like this out. I know martial arts, so immediately I was going to block his hand, but I saw his bodyguard step in, and I said, well, he just gets to beat me up today because I'm not going to block him. But I actually met Muhammad Ali. So there is the young man right there is a local speaker as well as an author. So you don't always know who I'm drawing, and part of why I draw just kind of anybody is because I don't know who they're going to become later on. Some of you in here may become very famous athletes, authors, artists, writers, but at that time, just recognize that I don't always know who I have. That white t-shirt there, the white t-shirt on the table, if you'll hold that up. I know many of you may not know this rapper. Oh, okay, T-Pain was one of my students in middle school. What? He was one of my students in middle school. As a matter of fact, I called his parents because he was the only child in middle school that was flunking art. So I called his parents to have a talk with him. He pulled his grade up to a C. But I was kind of shocked. I was like, why are you not even trying? But had I known his gift and his talent was music, I said, get out of art. Go to where you are really talented, where you love doing what you love. And some of you, I would advise you to do the same thing. There's something inside of you that loves doing what it loves. You would do it regardless. You would sing regardless. You would dance regardless. You would write regardless. I do art regardless. I've had many different jobs, and I still did art wherever it was that I worked. You know, when I worked for the State Department in Tallahassee, I still did art. So I advise you, take a look at yourself, your talents, your gifts, and start working on those things. One of the things that I want to prove to you is that you can become so excellent at your craft that the world reaches out to you and comes to you. Despite where you live, the world will reach and come to you. At this point in time, I'm actually starting to speak to somebody who is famous, and they're trying to reach back out to me. And that is LeBron James.
No.
Yeah. I've done a portrait of him, and I plan to do a second portrait of his and go ahead and send the first one to him because he has a school. And I want to send the other portrait to him and have him sign that so we can bring that back to this school. So once again, get good at what you're really good at and what you love to do, and the world will reach back to you. That's me. And thank you for the time that you've allowed me to speak to you.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes, for that. Next up, we have another one of our teachers, Mr. Steward.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Everybody still feel good? Yes. I'm glad. All right, really quick, there are many that probably don't know me. Most of you probably do not, mainly because I'm new to Florida. I've only been here for a few months, so I have to really go from the beginning and then kind of catch up really quick. My name is Mr. Steward. As I tell my students, my first name is Mr. and my last name is Steward. You don't need to know the real first name. And I didn't grow up in Florida. I have no history in regards to having different schools in Florida. I grew up in New Jersey. And born and raised in New Jersey, born and raised in some areas that some will call the hood. I don't know. That's what they call it now, but in my time it wasn't hood. And my entire life over there brought me through a lot of different changes. My time in New Jersey brought me through a lot of different struggles, but yet, I'm still here. And the thing that I want to hopefully jump out at you today, is to find your personal equilibrium. All right, I got a good one for you. Good. Equilibrium. So all the what's, I'm going to assume that you might not know what it is. So I'm going to tell you what it is. It just means balance. Now, most of you as a kid, younger meaning, You've played that game where your friend or your buddies would spin you around real fast and then tell you to walk straight? Yeah. And then you go like this, oh, I'm coming. Why is it that after they spin you around, you can't walk in a straight line? You're dizzy. You're not in balance. Your equilibrium is off. That's what equilibrium means. It's actually what helps you stand up straight, walk in a straight line, come in this room and sit in a chair. Your equilibrium does that. But what I'm asking you for this morning is to find your personal equilibrium. Now, I'm not going to start no trouble, so don't respond. Remember, keep on level 0. But I'm on Team iPhone. Don't respond. Don't respond. I'm not starting no Android iPhone fights in here. But a couple days ago, I got a notification on my phone that I was due for an update. And I let it pass. And a couple of days later, it came up again that I'm due for an update. So I took the update and I made it work. My wife's phone said the same thing. She didn't update it. She was waiting for me to do it, but that's another story. And a little while later, for some reason, she kept asking, well, why isn't my phone acting right? Why is this not acting right? It's moving slow. It's not doing what it's supposed to do. And I looked through the phone. I said, did you ever update it? He says, oh, I don't know. So I took the phone. I did the update. It kind of went through, like you started the update. You went to sleep. When you woke up, it was done. One of those things. And when she woke up, the phone was doing what it's supposed to do. For some reason, we know to do that with our phones. I know some of you have like the latest that's out there. I still have a 6S Plus, but don't judge me. I said don't judge me. But my phone is working perfectly fine. But we get it with phones. We get it with gadgets. We get it with clothes. We get it with hair. We get it with so many things in regards to stuff. But why is it that we don't get it with ourselves? Our mind actually needs a personal update. The first thing I want to throw at you today is because of the different stages in life, you must learn to adjust and readjust your equilibrium. Because I'm from New Jersey, a lot is different up north. I mean, I spend a lot of time down in Florida. I have family in Florida. My grandmother, God rest her soul, she lived in Florida. So all my summers as a kid was up in Florida, and then I would go back up north to go back to school. And because of my different change now, I left what I was comfortable with, and I came into an area where I've never lived. I've been over here, but I never lived over here. All the laws are different. When I came over to Florida, I was scared to drive because where I'm from, you get tickets for almost everything. The fact that I can drive 70 on 95, y'all might not know. Y'all know what 95 is? Yeah. All right, I love y'all. The fact that I could drive 70 or 95, I thought I was in heaven. Because where I'm from, you got 45, 50, and if you go above that, the cops is coming for you. Okay? Not me, but that other guy, that was who they caught. Never mind. And so many other things that I saw. Parking was a blessing for me. You know why? Because where I'm from, we have toll almost everywhere we go. We have meters everywhere we go. I got to come out, reach out, put in quarters in the machine. I was doing that when I first came over here. Asked the cop, excuse me, where's the meter? He was like, sir, what you talking about? It was different. I had to readjust my whole philosophy on how I would live. When I first moved over here, I guess I'll be a little transparent, I couldn't sleep. Because where I'm from, when it's too quiet, something bad about to happen. Especially all the horror films I used to watch. You don't know. Now I'm supposed to hear somebody outside. And when I first moved over here, it was way too quiet and I couldn't sleep. So I said, you know what? I'm going to sit up in the living room and look out the window because somebody's about to try to come up in my house. Most of the houses over here are all one floor anyway, so it's not like I can hide upstairs. I'm all right here, so if they're gonna come in this house, we're gonna have to. Dang. So I had to adjust. I had to adjust my whole character of who I am. I had to adjust of how I teach. I had to adjust on how I have to live. I have to adjust even how I raise my kids. I have 2 children, a 6-year-old and a 4. Yeah, I do have kids. A 6-year-old and a 4-year-old. I am married as well. She works at another school across, not too far across, at White City Elementary. And this year, I'm actually going to be celebrating 12 years of marriage. I'm excited about that. And in the house where I was raising my kids in New Jersey, we had tenants downstairs. Tenants. People that lived underneath us. We wasn't in the house by ourselves. Right. I lived upstairs, they lived downstairs. And because my kids were so active and happy children, 10 o'clock at night, they'd like to play track and play wrestling and want to jump and dive off and say, hey, boom, I got you. I'm like, whoa, dude, people live downstairs. You got to calm down. And they ripping and running. And it was different. When we came over here, I was doing the same thing. Shh, hey, quiet. Why? Wait a minute. Ain't nobody downstairs. Go in the backyard and let all that energy out. It was different. So I had to readjust. I had to recalibrate who I am. In this life, 7th grade, I know it's a sprinkle of other grades in here, but you're going to have to adjust and readjust multiple times in your life. Do not be afraid to run into challenges. Don't be afraid to learn to reboot your own mind. You're going to be going into 8th grade soon. Some of y'all are going to be graduating, going off, as Mr. Barnes said, doing great things. You're going to have to adjust and readjust over and over again. And it does not mean you are deficient. It just means that you are alive and you're not scared of change. And the last thing I want to leave out to you is this. Avoid distractions. Don't allow yourself to be bullied. And keep your head in the game. Yes. Over and over again. Don't allow yourself to get distracted. Don't allow yourself to be bullied either, because I've been down that road as well. But I learned that it was more of a perspective than what the people were saying to me. And the last example I give to you, and then I'm on a run. I was sitting in the classroom, and I had 2 kids in front of me. The kid on the left, he was having struggles in life. You never know what people are going through when they're not in school, that's first of all. He had it rough at home, and you could tell when he came to school. The kid on the right, he had on Jordans, he had on a chain. His parents was doing something good for him, but it was different scenarios going on. Well, I think they both had beans that night, so when they came to school the next day, they both had gas. But the kid on the left, he had slipped up and let one out. And everybody was like, ooh, you. And it was, I heard the rule about no roasting, right? We don't do that at Samuel Gaines, I know that. But in this school in New Jersey, man, they was roasting him bad. So bad that I felt bad. And that the kids stood up and walked to the back of the class. That's how bad they was roasting him. And then maybe a minute later, the guy sitting next to him with the Jordans on, he did the same thing. He let out a bad one. And the students did the same roast. They said the same words. They had the same reaction. But this kid said, well, you move. And he kept writing his work. And I sat there and I said, now, you got one that got so offended, he got up, moved his seat, went to the back and put his head down. But then you have the other one that sat there and actually just kept doing his work like nothing didn't matter. And watch this. The students that was laughing, doing all that, they shut up. And they started doing their work. It was the same nasty smell, but they tolerated it for some strange reason. You want to know why? The perspective of both students. One student let it get to him because of what people say, it affects me and it tears me down. But the other student says, I don't care what you say, I don't care what you do, nothing is going to tear me down. So I said to myself, if I learn to change my perspective about what people say to me, then that means I don't have to live a hurt life. So if you can take that with you, and I'll say it one last time, avoid distractions, don't allow yourself to be bullied by what people say, and keep your head in the game. And by this, I do believe you'll be in position to change history because you'll be making history. Thank you.
Amazing speakers, amazing. Thank you, Mr. Barnes, for letting us know. If you guys got talents, bring them out. We want to see them at SGA. I've seen a lot of the arts that you guys draw. I know we have a lot of them. We have writers, we have singers, we have artists. Thank you, Mr. Steward, for letting us know. You guys are going to have to readjust. You guys are going to 8th grade, you're going to have to readjust. High school, it's a whole nother game part. You're going to have to readjust. Be nice to one another. No one ever knows what someone is truly going through. We all have a mask that we put on. However, we all go through some type of struggle. Thank you guys for today. We have our final remarks from Ms. Bell.
Woo, I mean, I don't know about you. I'm excited. I'm motivated to do something in life. Come on, somebody. Come on, put your hands together and let's give these people a round of applause. Yeah. This is who we are at Semi Games. We are motivated and we look for the future to you guys doing great things. I mean, I am motivated to do something. I don't know what it is quite yet, but I'm gonna do something to make a difference. Come on, let's put our hands together one more time. Yes. Thank you. Whew. Now, I'm going to calm down. I am so excited. I have a nice presentation now for this man who started it all off, who have met famous people and encourages us to do the same. His name is Mr. Andre Barnes. Would you please come forward? One more time. This is a certificate on a plaque, and we want to come over here out of the light. And it says, Mr. Barnes, you make a difference. Semi Gaines Academy of Emerging Technologies presents this honorarium certificate to Andre Barnes. There are not enough words or ways to show our appreciation for all you have taught us here at Semi Gaines, the students at Semi Gaines. It says no one inspires the students' artistic creativity like you. Thank you for all you have done. These are words from students who you taught in 5th grade. Will you please come forward? Those students who Mr. Barnes taught in 2017. Come on up, right here. We're going to get a nice shot. More of you here. Over here, we want 3 rows. Let's take it. That's okay, we can get it. We can get it. Thank you. Right there. Let's form in 5, 4. I want you to see the inspiration this man has made on so many students. Now, yesterday, students said, we want to do something special for Mr. Barnes, our star arts teacher. And they decided to, on their own, make this. And I said, you want me to buy something? They said, no, we want to show what he taught us. And we still remember it in 7th grade. All of you in here are 7th grade students. And this is it. And this is it. He taught them how to make a bowl of fruit.
Still life.
Mr. Barnes.
Yeah.
He taught them how to make an alligator. Oh, you want to help me? Thank you so much. An alligator out of beads. Right over here. Now, I didn't do any of this. Not even the borders. This is all the students. And they thought enough of you, Mr. Barnes, and your inspiration to say, hey, I want you to put this up in your classroom of what you did, and we still remember it from 5th grade to the 7th grade. Let's give a round of applause to this wonderful man. Thank you. Thank you so much. You may be seated. Let's take a moment. One more time, your hands together, please.
Thank you to all the students that I have taught, I still have yet to teach. Please be prepared for life. And by saying that, when he says you have to readjust, Mr. Steward, he's telling you the truth. Usually I give this speech to those students that I taught in high school. I said, life is going to go left. You have to be able to recover. When you walk across that stage and get your diploma, you're thinking everything is easy, everything's gonna come easy, you're about to be the bomb. Well, guess what? No one is handing you keys to the car, to your brand new car. No one is handing you keys to your brand new house or giving you a contract for your brand new job. If you don't make your life good, it might not be as good as you wish it to be. So I tell you in advance, be prepared to work very hard at making your life good and the best it can possibly be. One of the things that you're going to need is people that are around you that want the best for you. Those that are negative, you've got to let them go. Those that are positive, those are your friends. And please be not just a person who receives the positivity, please be able to give that positivity back to your friends and others. Represent yourself well, represent your school well, represent your family well.
That concludes our presentations.